This is the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 version 2, and I think that for the money, this is the best bang for your buck zoom lens out on the market right now. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why. Reason number 1 is image quality. 24-70 Sigma 2.8 is an art series lens, which the Sigma art series is infamous in the photography and videography world for being extremely sharp and having great representation in their colors. So you can rest assured that this lens is going to deliver some incredible looking images regardless of what camera body you have it on. And the fact that it has a constant aperture of 2.8 all the way from 24 millimeters to 70 millimeters gives you nice versatility. It's going to give you nice bokeh, some blurry background, and it's also going to be pretty good in some low light situations with that nice 2.8 aperture. Reason number 2 is build quality. This lens is made extremely well. It's right on point, I think, with a lot of the Sony lenses that this is going to be compared to. The focus ring and the zoom ring feel really nice and premium. You definitely don't feel like you're being cheaped out with the quality of the build on this lens. There's 2 custom buttons on the body of this lens, as well as a couple of clickable features that I'm going to mention in a little bit. It's also worth saying that this lens is very comfortable to use. It's not super duper heavy. I know it's less heavy than the previous Gen 1 of this lens, but it's not crazy heavy, it's not too much, and it's also not incredibly light either, so I think it falls in that nice middle ground, which makes sense because with a 2.8 aperture, with it being 24-70, you're covering a nice general range of features and focal length, so I think the weight is definitely good. Reason number 3 is autofocus. Now, with this being a third-party lens and a little bit more on the budget side in comparison to things like a Sony G Master lens, you might be wondering if the autofocus is going to be lacking, and if it was the version 1 of this lens, then yes, but with the version 2, they have corrected that with a brand new motor focusing system. Now, I haven't personally tested this lens versus the version 1 or the G Master, but every review that I saw on YouTube said that it was better. But what I can say is that compared to my regular Sony lenses, the native Sony glass that I own, that this camera is right on par with the autofocus in those lenses, so it's fantastic, and I don't think you'll notice any sort of issues with the autofocusing on the Sigma 24-70. Reason number 4 is lens features. Like I said earlier, the Sigma 24-70 has 2 function buttons, which is pretty common, I'd say, on par with a lot of the Sony zoom lenses in this price range. You can easily customize the buttons on the lens to do different things, so you can really kind of make it your own. You got an autofocus manual focus switch on the lens, which is again standard. You have a nice clickable aperture option, so if you click it in to have your aperture clicked, then you will be able to have stepped control of your aperture because it has a dedicated aperture ring. And then you also have the ability to declick your aperture, so that way you can have nice smooth transitions with your aperture from f2.8 all the way to f22, which is especially helpful if you're doing things like video. Now, these are pretty standard features for most zoom lenses, but what's not standard is the fact that you can actually click to lock in your aperture. So oftentimes people might have that nice aperture ring, but they want to keep it on auto, so you can just control your aperture with the camera, and sometimes that will like slip and you can hit it on the side, and all of a sudden you go from f2.8 all the way up to f22 and you can't change it for some reason on your camera. It's because the aperture ring slipped. So you can actually lock that in on this lens, so that way you can just control your aperture through your camera, which is great for people who don't necessarily want to use the aperture ring. And I believe that's also a feature that's on the newer Sony G Master 24-70 2.8, so it's nice that you're getting that on this Sigma lens. One other cool feature of this lens is the zoom lock. You can actually lock the lens in place on the wide end of 24 millimeters where it's most compact, and you can just have it stay that way whenever you're traveling, or if you're just going to be walking around with it and you don't want to have the lens barrel extended, you can actually lock it into place. And when you go to shoot with the lens, you don't even have to unlock it with the switch. All you do is you just zoom in with the zoom ring and the button will click back into place, and then you have full zoom functionality, so you can have it locked one moment, and then the moment you want to start shooting, you're not having to unlock it or even think about it. You can just click and you're ready to go. Reason number 5 is the price. The Sigma 24-70 f2.8 version 2 at the time of this recording is $1,199 US, which certainly is not a small amount of money However, when you compare this lens to something like, let's say, the Sony G Master version 2 f2.8, that's like Sony's latest and greatest, highest quality zoom lens that they're gonna have. This stacks up really well, and it's $1,100 cheaper than the G Master. The Sigma is built very well. It has loads of features on the lens itself, and it couples that with really good image quality and autofocus capability. So for all the reasons that I've mentioned in this video, I think that the Sigma is really pound for pound the best bang for your buck when it comes to an all-around zoom lens. If I was just getting started in my photo video journey, this actually might be the lens that I would start with because it would cover the most range with one lens. What do you think about this lens? Have you tried it? What are your thoughts about it? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, if you got value out of this video, why don't you go ahead and add some value right back to it by hitting that like button. But hey, until the next time, my name is Zach Sopak, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.